Alright, so this is going to be screen recording number one, and this is going to just be a simple how to do a retouch with Ken's photo that he gave us in class. So you notice here right now, I'm just using QuickTime Player again to do a screen recording, and then I'm going to bring that over to iMovie after and just do any editing, because the editing works well with the screen recording on iMovie, and I feel comfortable with that. You'll notice here that I'm using Adobe Bridge. So Adobe Bridge works in sync with Photoshop, and a friend of mine suggested that I try it, and basically all it does is it gives you a selection of all the files you have saved on your computer. So for example, you can see here my name, the desktop, and then from the desktop I can go into all the files I need to find the photos I'm looking for. And then when I click them, they open in Photoshop. So see here that I have Ken's photo open in Photoshop, but I also have a second tab here, and in the second tab is actually the already finished version of the photo that I've done. So I figured I'd show you one way, and I'm using Adobe Photoshop CS5 to do this, how to put the two images side by side. So all I do here is come to Arrange Documents, and you can see they give you a whole bunch of options. So since I only have two photos, I'm going to arrange them two up, so side by side. So here I can get a look at each. And so basically, for the most part, I'm going to close my finished version now just to show you how I worked with Ken's photo sololy. I basically started at the corners and kind of worked my way around first with the stamp tool. And all I would do is I would use the zoom. So this for me is Command plus, and I'm using a Mac. I think for a PC it's either Control plus or one of the other ones that Apple doesn't have, but a PC does have. And basically I'd look around and say, okay, so for example, let's say I wanted to start in the middle here. There's a bit of a fold leading into the body. So I'd use the stamp tool, and you notice right now it's at 30, and I don't want it to be that big. So right now I'll just use the hotkey, and the hotkey is the left bracket, the left squared bracket, and you'll notice the size of my stamp tool shrinks and increases. So if I hit the right one, it gets bigger. If I hit the left bumper, it gets smaller. And all I'm going to do is just Option on my Mac and click away from the fold into a solid area of the wall, and come back over and just click over the fold line. And so once again, I'm just option clicking to select an area away from the fold. Once again, I'll option click here. And maybe what I like to do is I option click on the line between the sweater and the background to kind of, if you see here, there's a bit of the sweater still in my selection, and I'll put it right where the fold is over the sweater, and click once to eliminate the fold line there. And then I'll option click away, try to get as close to the sweater as possible, and I'll continue on until the fold's gone. At the same time, when I get to the edge here, you'll notice that I can stamp over the edge. So what I might do is I'll option click on the side here and get some of the border where it's not ripped, and click where the border is ripped to kind of create that solid there. Now the border isn't ripped anymore. And then I'll option click and fill that up as well. I'll also use the spot healing brush tool to clean up some areas. So let me just zoom back out here and find an area where the spot healing brush tool might work. Okay, so let's look example at I'm assuming this is a horse's body. See how we have all this kind of brown here and some red. So I'm going to zoom in on that area there, and what I can do is the spot healing brush tool just kind of picks up the area around, as opposed to the stamp tool where you have to select an area you want to steal or borrow from, and kind of just replaces the color that's there with what's in the surrounding area. So if I slowly start to click over this red with the spot healing brush tool and kind of go from left to right, you'll notice how I just completely removed it with the white that's in the area. So it's the same thing with this little blotch here, some of the blotches here, maybe the little discoloration here. I'm not too worried about these scratches as well. I don't want to eliminate too much of the border because I'm going to go back and use the same border technique I did before. But even here a little bit, you can get a little, eventually what you'll start to see is, I'll give you an example of when I start to get too close to the border, the spot healing brush tool doesn't really know what to do. In that case, it actually worked out quite well. But there are times when you might be trying to create a fold and you're stamping more fold into the photo, and so you have to be really careful with that. So for example, if I spot heal here, you'll notice that it's very difficult to start to get rid of some of the stuff in the area. Let's see, what else did I want to show you guys in this one? Oh yeah, so I'm also just going to show you quickly how I got rid of this white in the middle here and brought the two photos together. So what I did here is I used a selection tool. If I can find my selection tools here for a second. Not the lasso. The magic. Actually, the quick selection tool I found worked better here. So once again, just like the stamp tool, I can make the selection tool smaller, and I want it to be really small just so I can get in to the crevices here in this line. So I've made it a little bit smaller. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. And so basically what I'm trying to do is select just this white spot here. So you'll notice I got a little bit of the black. So I'm going to make this selection tool a little smaller. I'm going to hold shift, no, not shift, option, and you'll notice a negative sign comes up on my selection dabber here. And if I click once, it works to remove some of the already selected areas as I click and go through. Because all I really want is just this white piece here. So I could be okay with this, but I'm going to make one bigger selection, and hopefully this doesn't come to backfire. Once again, I'm just clicking once. You'll notice I got some of the hair here, so I'm going to want to option click again. There you go. Try to get rid of as much of the hair as possible. All I really want is just this white area that's creating the rip in the photo. So try again. There we go, a little bit better. Got some black again. So obviously it might even work better with a smaller selection tool, but of course I'm just doing this really quickly to show you guys in the video tutorial here. So there we go, that one worked nicely. I'm just holding spacebar as a shortcut to get the hand tool to move along. I find it works really well. And there we go. So I have the top half of what I want out of here selected. Okay? So now I'm just going to take the move tool, shortcut V, I didn't know that, and I want to get a look at what I'm moving when I do this, and I am going to, I believe, let's see if I can just simply delete this. I'm going to hit the delete button and see what happens. And I'm going to use the, not content aware, I'm going to make it black. Let's see what happens here. So there you go. You'll notice that anything that was white, I just made it black. I'm going to hit D to deselect. Okay, that didn't work. I'll grab the hand tool here and touch the photo. Still didn't work. So let's see. Edit. Oh, here we go. Select. Oh, sorry. Command D on the Mac. So you'll notice here that I've turned it all black. And so what I would do next is, and I'd probably want to go in here and clean up all the extra lines that were left behind. You'll notice I'll get in really close on it. I left a lot of lines here. But what you might find is, what I would do next is either use the magic wand tool or probably the quick selection tool again and select this whole area, the whole corner. So that means up here all the way down to about here where the rip starts. And I would just select it and then use the move tool to shift it closer to where I felt comfortable next to, it's almost like putting a puzzle piece together but not, right? And then once again you would have to use the clone stamp tool to fix what would it start to look like? It would look like a big fold as opposed to a rip though. And of course I'd want to go in here and clean some of this up again. So that's why these photos take a little bit of time, but you'd be pretty impressed with the results. Like I said before, I'll show you again. Sorry, I keep zooming around. This is bridge here. So here's the final one that I did. And I'm going to talk more about the brush tool in my next one. But I'm doing a bunch of nonsense here. You'll notice here that the fold is completely gone. The rip in the photo has disappeared. And I'm quite pleased with how the finished copy came out. So anyways, that's how to do a bit of basic retouching. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. But in the next recording, I'm going to take a look at how to use